Well, let's begin. We don't have to close the door because it's not.
Nope, it's open session. Yep.
Usually when we're in here, we have our executive session before we go into the general session. Conference. I picked up the first thing that says, pick up the draft agenda for mitigation committee. Thank you. Well, that is said, all that introduce ourselves. Most of us know. So I'm Presley. I'm a retired professional engineer, head engineer. Consulting firm for many years, and on my own. And I've been on the board for I think 15 years, something like that.
Been a while.
Yeah.
Ever since we were kids.
Polish kids. But we met on Lewis Beach where it all started. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. When we were dumb engineers.
Yeah.
I think most people know that.
Yeah, Danielle Swallow with Delaware Sea Grant. I'm a coastal hazards specialist there. So I work with communities on weather and climate hazards. I'm a certified climate professional, and my graduate training's in urban planning.
Robin Davis, I'm the general manager for the BPW.
Sharon Sexton, assistant general manager for BPW.
And she's also a council committee member here, official.
Not yet. We're going
Oh, we're going to
official.
Wednesday.
Because we were short on persons. So they're like, okay. Yes.
I'm Mark Growdy, and retired professional engineer.
And I'm Christina Keller. I'm the office manager. I'll be taking the minutes.
Okay. Good morning, Tracy Hancock, retired from the federal government, U.S. Geological Survey, Forest Service, and then EPA. And I serve on the Lewis ERC, which is environmental resiliency. That's where he trapped me.
Well, hopefully, I think our charge here is going to be easily achieved. I'm hoping it's no more than 4 meetings, if that. I put this little draft agenda. This agenda is really for the entire session of this committee. This is how I see things going. The reason for it is because we had the committee in 22, but we were using 2015 information at the time. So the reason that this committee was founded was to get the information from the 2025 reports that you're involved directly with, right? And to see if we have to update anything or change anything. And we're also going to look at some things we didn't cover in the last committee. There's one that I had on transporters that we're going to be talking about. So we can pick any other topic too, if we see at the end of this that we want to identify something that this committee should maybe be handling. We can discuss that too. So first thing we're going to do, of course, is review what we've produced. Show what has been produced to date, to understand what it is and the rationale or where we got. So most of this meeting we can go over that or read information. We talked about that. I'm going to try to keep all the meetings to an hour. So if we get halfway through this, we'll pick it up at the next meeting and go from there. Then we'll try to identify other, I just mentioned, other things we may have missed in the first one. I mentioned the magnetic transformers, which was an asset that we really didn't look into. With potential things we have to do with that too, when sea level rise, increased storm. Then a new thing that was asked by the board for this meeting, for this committee, was the Back Bay issues. And Danielle, I've gotten her lined up when we get through the original documents we were working with and get onto that topic. She's going to talk about that. And it's up to speed. I think most of it knows something about it, but probably I know nobody knows any more about it than Danielle. So she'll give us a presentation update about that. We can discuss that and whether there's anything that the BPW should be doing. That's basically a bigger area than we're normally involved to making impacts on. But if there's anything that we should be specifically doing here in Lewis, hopefully we can identify that and work on that. And any other topics that any other topics that should be identified and working on as far as we think this group should be doing. Well, the original committee addressed the status of these efforts. You might have it
I think what you really want to look at is the excerpt from the approved board minutes from July 24th. So that had what we recommended last time and then what the board approved. So that should have everything.
I had it in two forms.
Yeah.
There's no way we get to the
Yep.
board, and this is the actual board's presentation. So the first thing we did, we decided on a design year, and since most studies have been identifying 2050, we thought that was a reasonable year to program.
No.
We were working with the county on the proposed treatment plant that they're getting ready to build, and now we're going to be working with them on that. We're going to be a partner with them as not owner, but just a customer to them. It's a new treatment plant out at Wolf Neck. The existing treatment plant is a treatment plant that Mark and I are designing and getting built. So that's going to be replaced with a new treatment plant upgrade. And so that's the year they were using for that plant too. So that's one of the other reasons we use 2050. So the projections that the 2015 reports I produced showed sea level rise of about 1.3 feet. And that's what we use for our projections. What we're looking at now is that the latest projections is like 1.52 feet of sea level rise for 2050. So I think we're going to decide whether it's important for us to update the previous, since it's only about 2 inches in the rise, 2 feet. Previous.
You say 1.52? Is that what you?
It's 1.54.
Thank you.
And that's based on the high scenario, right?
And that's what we agreed to at the original, that we would use the high end of the graphs.
Okay. I mean, there's definitely a rationale to that because you're dealing with something that really directly impacts, safety, and water quality and things like that. Currently, we are tracking more in terms of the observed sea level rise. We're tracking closer to the intermediate low to intermediate. And as we get toward 2050, we're going to be about around intermediate. But then there will be an acceleration after 2050. So, your design year is 2050. You could maybe plan to intermediate, but given that you're dealing with a wastewater treatment plant and you're not wanting to risk any, us being wrong in the science community, you could stick with high, but just letting you know that that's, less probable at the moment based on the science.
So I thought it was accelerating
It is, but we see that acceleration more after 2050. So, so there's an observed rate and there is acceleration in that observed rate, but it's right now tracking more intermediate low to intermediate. And then as we get to 2050, it's starting to get a little bit more solidly intermediate, and then it goes up.
Well, if we're designing it, it's actually county because we're not an owner anymore. If they're designing for 2050 and it's going to accelerate after that, any plant that's designed is going to be designed to go past that.
Yeah.
So maybe it'd be better if we kept this.
I think it's smart to be conservative when you're dealing with critical infrastructure like this. Recognizing your design costs go up, right?
Yeah.
And there's always that. And so you may want to consider the trade-offs, but yeah, I mean, these plants are designed to operate much longer than 2050. So I think I still believe that would be the smart thing. I just wanted you to have that information, but I think it's still smart to plan to the high. And then the other thought, and Press, if you don't want to get into this now, we'll wait.
Let's go ahead. This was just the
Yeah.
But we're talking about. Go ahead.
We could consider adjusting the design year to 2060, just given that, we're in 2026 now, so less than 25 years. We could look at the 2060 projections. They're not going to be hugely different, but a little bit different, and that's a thought.
That's a good idea. We were talking about the treatment plan, of course. The city or the county's designing that. We've just signed this contract about 3 or 4 months ago with the county. I'm going to be one of the representatives in the BPW on the county's design committee, as is our president, Tom Panetta.
Yeah.
So that hasn't been decided. I think Hans, who's been planning it, I think he's thinking about the high, but I'll have to go back and look, and that'll come up in our initial meetings, which I think the first meeting on that project is going to be sometime next month.
And I guess, so now the county's taking over the operation of the treatment facility, but you're going to be operating all the pump stations.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to take over two of the pump stations, 4 and 8, and then we're going to be maintaining the rest of them.
Yeah, they're the 2 main pumping stations. 4 takes everything on this side of the canal. 8 takes everything on the other side of the canal. And they're all going to go to county now.
Mm-hmm.
County's actually bringing flow to us now. It's going to go the other way.
Okay.
Once the plant, because that's 5 to 7 years out before we have that finished.
So you're saying that you think we should recommend to the county that we go to 2060 rather than 2050?
If you're trying to pick a 30-year planning cycle, which I think is why 2050 got selected, you're less than that now. That's all. That's really the rationale for that.
Fresh treatment plant a couple of inches higher,
Yeah.
What's next?
I'm sure.
I'll
Yeah.
bring that up at the design, first design meeting if we want to change that.
Yeah. And we have the projections by decade, so we'd be able to, it's in the report. I don't have it in front of me, but I think, do you feel like you'd want to be consistent with the county in terms of your planning and for your aspects compared to theirs?
That's no fun.
Unless they don't go to.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if the county, again,
will go to.
to that if they're that forward thinking. I don't want to say they're not, but
Yeah.
Usually we are a little slower.
yeah.
But isn't our mitigation plan bigger and broader than just the treatment plan itself?
Yes.
So we need to consider all of those too in our,
Yeah.
and the data's in here if we want to use different yearly projections. Okay.
Does the city have a design year issue? What do they have? Anything that may be that would be in line with or out of line with if we did that? Because we do try to go along with it. We don't have to, but But, if they're in 50, you probably wouldn't want to go to, I mean, the highest level.
Do they have like a specified design year?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think it's ever been brought up. I mean, if it would have been brought up, at maybe to IRC, I don't know if they even got that
I
far.
don't think.
We haven't yet.
Yeah.
Well, and they've begun the effort of standing up a committee to reevaluate the master plan. So that
Yeah,
might be good for us
the
to
comp
coordinate
plan,
with
like
that.
what year are they
Yeah.
gonna plan to? I mean, 2050 has been kind of the standard year that most communities I work with have planned to. And it just begs a question for all the communities now, like now that we're in 2026, do we start to push that out? But it's not make or break, I think it just depends on whether you want to start that trend. I think others will eventually follow, truthfully.
Well, I'll bring it up, with the county, and we can bring it up with IRC,
Right.
bring, that issue. And it may be no issue there because maybe they don't have a year. So
Yeah.
we had an IRC meeting, I guess, 3 weeks from now.
Right. Is there a something that you're seeing in the data that demonstrates acceleration on a number of fronts that would warrant the consideration of going out? Because looking at the graphs, it seems like there's a deviation around that time period.
We do see an
Yeah.
acceleration
Okay.
in the observed rate, but also globally, there's evidence that we'll see further acceleration. So like even if the global response was to rein in all the greenhouse gases and, really reduce that, you're still going to see a fairly moderate warming. And that's with everything reined in. Now with all the current rate of emissions, you're just going to see it. It's just like that energy budget of the earth is just going to be like accelerating, it's just going to accelerate and go into overdrive. So yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the thought of the science community that there's higher, but I will say this, there's very high confidence, and that's reflected in the state's projections report. There's very high confidence in the sea level rise projections up through 2050. Beyond that, that confidence goes down a little bit, right? And it's, right, we can articulate that there's still confidence, but there's also some uncertainty. And that's because of, well, what's going to happen at the global scale with emissions? Are they going to continue to run kind of at the same level of emissions or not? What's going to happen with ice sheets? There's just certain things that we can't fully, know right now. But through 2050, there's pretty high confidence that we've actually done extrapolation where we took the observations and we extrapolated them out using the same kind of progression. And then we compared it to all the models through 2050, and it's showing that they're aligning. So, so that's also just a piece for your own benefit. Like, beyond 2050, there's just some uncertainty. You deal with uncertainty in everything you do. And right, our weather reports last night had some uncertainty built into it. That's just a common aspect of science projections and forecasting. But nevertheless, I just, I'm trying to share with you.
And I will bring it up with both URC and the city, and you can take that on. As you.
But it'd be good to know if our group has a recommended approach.
Yeah.
Well, and recall too, like a design year can depend on the type of project. Like if you're
Yeah.
building a playground, you may not need to build out to 2060, right? Like that design life may not need to be that long. Whereas, critical infrastructure might have a longer design life. So there could be differences in your planning year. It doesn't have to be like firm.
Yeah, good point.
That is very good.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
And the third item, I guess, is wind load. When that topic came up before the previous committee, we didn't have any, we couldn't find any input on wind load for storms and so forth. and, Jet was here, he knows a lot about that kind of thing. And, he thought 120 was fine. He had no source that said we should go up to 130 or whatever, anything else. So have you heard anything about that?
No, I mean, this is, yeah, I don't know what he's using, but maybe the hurricane winds, like he's just kind of thinking about hurricane winds
It's
and,
in the building code
It's
too.
at the building code.
Yeah,
Basically reference for this area.
That's why the,
yeah.
that's one of the reasons we went with it, because it's in the building code and we didn't want to get out of that.
What year of the building code?
Probably back then, it was probably the 21, maybe. It could
So,
have been the 18, but I think it
Yeah,
was 21.
cause you,
Because they go 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
and there's
So-
a
So
24.
it's probably 24 now. and
Yeah.
They're probably working on updating it to get to the 27.
And I don't know if there's a change, but it might not hurt to look and see if there is a change, but that sounds reasonable, like to go with the building code.
Yeah, we didn't see any reason to go above it.
Yeah,
And I was surprised that he didn't, anybody, and seen that someplace.
I think in terms of like a hurricane force, like, we expect that at some point we'll have a hurricane, but I wouldn't anticipate it to have four, we're just gonna have something that's gonna be weakening and then dumping a lot of rain and, wind. It'll still be hard on us. But yeah, I don't know, for just in general, I would say follow the building code. That one, the most recent one.
Okay. Oh, getting back to the sea level rise, is there any change in the subsidence? I mean, I know it's a small thing.
Look that up.
0.26.
I don't know what that offhand.
That's the 2015, but I didn't say anything in that report. I didn't read the entire report that you did, but I did the summaries and so forth. I didn't say any comment about that.
Well, the sea level rise projections include the subsidence in the projection. You know what I mean? It's all baked into the formula. So in the models. I think so. I don't know that you have to have this on top of sea level rise, but let me look
Where
at that.
where that came from is again from the county, because we were working with them and their engineer in GHD, and they added into their calculations. I hadn't seen a figure, so we were following that.
Yeah.
That's topical these days with the removal of groundwater at such a high rate around here that subsidence is expected probably to increase.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think in our area we're having it more as it's a holdover from the last ice age. Like it's more like it's a very fancy word. It's isostatic glacial adjustment, glacial isostatic adjustment.
Did you spell that?
And but like water withdrawal in certain parts of the county, yeah, definitely contributing. I think that it's also just that GIA that's kind of the land's adjusting still from the last ice age, and we're just experiencing subsidence because of that. So anyway, I have to
So
just
that's
dig
still
into
good.
that a little more.
Not that it's a big number, but
I'm just
that-
wondering if that's double counting, but I'll.
check with that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then we identified the assets that we involved with. We have, about reproduce this.
Yeah.
All right. This was a chart that we never finished filling out at the other committee, but it does list, yeah, right. It does list all the things that we could identify, the assets that we could identify. And we went down and pushed many things are underground and so forth aren't really impacted We honed in on pumping stations. And did a lot of work on that, I'll tell you that. But if there's anything else on that list, again, I mentioned before, pad mounted transformers, we're gonna get, this committee's going to get into that. And talk about that later. But if there's anything in there that you can identify, and we started this, and then we said, well, most of these things don't really apply.
The construction of a retaining wall along the canal, is that something that is considered a Lewis Ward Public Works asset, or is that?
Well, we talked about it. No, I mean, building a retaining wall would be almost impossible as far as I can tell.
A retaining wall?
No, more like a natural,
Like a bulkhead?
I thought that Jet was talking about a natural material
He is-
fill that is gonna help with some of the. flooding
He's
in the
talked
canal.
about that along, on the beach side, along that ditch that goes back and drains that side of the property.
Uh-huh.
And, they're trying to get the drain off of Cedar in that area back into that ditch. And they're gonna build a retaining wall or something.
Living shoreline? Did you use that
No,
word?
no,
No?
no, it
Not
was
necessarily.
to bring it over to that ditch and have a tide gate
Mm-hmm.
at the end of that ditch where it goes into the canal.
Mhm.
I've never seen any sketches about it or
Oh,
anything. I know it's ongoing. In fact, the DPW has been brought up in discussions that we would manage that. I don't even know what it is. But I live right next to that ditch. I mean, it's right there on my side. And, I mean, it's all, it's not, it's supposed to be maintained, I think, by the Conservation District. Either them or the Corps, I'm not sure exactly. Do you know, Robin?
No, it was, again, that conversation, but I think all along the board was like, well, we don't want to take over that responsibility.
Yeah.
That's
And
not
the
in our
city was-
purview.
Yeah, correct. That's something we're not responsible.
The biggest, I'm not big on tide gates anyway. It's a mechanical one. And, that ditch is very seldom cleaned out. And every time there's a storm or anything, it gets filled with debris that's from the trees or even for the properties there. You'll find coolers in there or.
Are you talking about a ditch that's running between the canal and like Cedar?
It's in
Yes.
this right
Yes.
here,
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Right here?
Yeah,
that blue
that
line.
blue line.
Okay.
It's all the way up here. But, like after a major storm, you'll find everything in there, and most of it's, organic and things with the trees around it. But it's a bugger to get in there. It usually has almost phragmites right up to the edges. And then they were going to put a tide gate here, that is a mechanical
Mhm.
type of
I
thing.
knew about the tide gate. I don't know about the.
But I don't know, who's gonna manage that. The
Mhm.
biggest thing, I'm not worried about the tide gate as much as I am keeping the ditch clean and making it work. But Jet's real high on that. The city's bought in. I keep saying, well, talk to us about it before you do anything.
Mhm. Well, I guess it's just a consideration if it contributes to flooding along Cedar in terms of if it is constructed, who manages it, and is it?
That's the question, who's gonna, managing it. I don't know what he's doing, like you brought the point up about, I think it's more of a berm he's talking about.
Right, like a berm made
a
of
wall.
fill.
Yeah,
Having
yeah.
natural materials.
Mhm.
yeah.
So, the other question I had is some of these retention ponds.
Mhm.
I live in Schofield, so recently there's been a few dead fish coming up along the edges,
Really?
which they think could be related to the drought and the lack of ability for the fish to move back and forth into the, bigger, higher water. So, just kind of curious about who manages, these types of bodies.
Well, this wouldn't be. Is this very tidal?
I
That's
think
what I
it
thought.
was in part, it can receive some overflow from the canal if it needs to. But I believe it is connected right in through this line here.
It could be runoff, and then just combined with drought. There's not enough rain to dilute the runoff.
Oh, yeah.
And
Could
so
be.
the pesticides and fertilizers and stuff are getting to the fish. Yeah, that's, I don't know.
This is, all the drainage from this area flows into the pond, then down Market Street or down Chipcartler
And
Street.
were these originally human-made to be drainage or
I think that,
watering ponds for animals at one point or something? Do you know?
I think the story is that they used to make ice in there. They dug them, made ice for the summer, They did
Blockhouse, that kind
Blockhouse
of.
pond, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, but I think it is man-made. I don't think it's natural pond.
The one that's in the middle of the show field looks kind of natural, though. I mean, maybe it was dammed up or something.
I don't know.
It looks like it's been there for quite a while. A lot of, older trees growing out of it and stuff like that.
Just
That's a
let
good
us
question.
define what are,
That's not our,
no, the
not
blockhouse
even-
would be the city.
yeah, the Blockhouse is the city, but that's not in
That's
the city.
outside that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if off the top that you see anything on there that we should be focusing on. Time we did this, we kind of never used this job because we think there's a real need for it.
Was there ever a prioritization done, or you just
Well, we
got
just
through,
say that
kind
the
of
really-
identification of
Most of the things on here really don't need so, specific things happen to protect them. I mean, we talked about things like water, the electric meters that are on buildings and things like that. But the transformers are the only things that are mounted on the ground that flood. I mean, I've been flooded 2 or 3 times since I've been here, and that transformer just hums as I walk down the driveway. The transformer's humming, and I'm evacuating. So nothing on here that we thought about be helped with anything that we can do to protect them against sea level rise. And things like outside faucets and so forth, they're not our purview. It's really the city. That's something we have to work with the city on. Some of those things, even meters and so forth.
Well, if we expanded the scope of the mitigation effort beyond just flooding to fire, then many of these things would be important. The question is,
Yeah.
is fire a phenomenon that we want to consider planning for?
Well, this was for sea level rise.
Okay, this is
Yeah,
specifically
yeah.
with, okay.
That was the original intent, but it's a good thing to consider, but this committee's not the one that should be considering it.
Fair enough.
Are you thinking about access roads to some of these, like if they flood? And cuts off your access to any of these facilities? Does that concern you? Like
Well-
American Meat
well-
Road and.
Well, there was discussions, there's always been discussions about, okay, even at one point, one of the options when we were talking about the wastewater plant was, do we harden the plant? But then it's like, okay, you harden the plant, how do you get to it anyway? That's the big thing, it's like, okay, we buy, the joke is we buy a boat. But,
Oh, in the
Yeah.
past, the National Guard has come in with vehicles
yeah,
to get
Yeah,
back
the
there.
high water vehicles, but yeah, I don't know if there's, right, and obviously, you're not typically in the business of maintaining roads, but.
Well, there was this study completed, West Cedar Avenue flood mitigation.
Mhm.
That was a report that was done in conjunction with the city, but the city is responsible for the roads.
Mhm.
We don't build them. So we're in charge of the drainage.
But would you want to include portions of roads in your updated study so that you can document like flood heights? maybe then you can have conversations with the city, or, I mean, do you know that the city is looking at that?
I think that, yeah, it's a good idea, but I think the city, that would be something the city would have to be looking
Are they?
at. I don't, that's a good thing. I don't know.
I believe that they may be taking a look, as part of the comp plan. That might be something that we can suggest. We actually have a topic, on tomorrow nights for ideas to pitch to Barbara, because Barbara is our representative for the comp plan. So we can let them know we're concerned about this. Is there any thought
Yeah.
to hardening those access roads for our utilities?
Well, let's bring that up tomorrow night.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think another thing, maybe for the comp plan, would be wetlands. Since some of your facilities are surrounded or close access to wetlands, I'm seeing a lot of degradation in Lewis of your wetlands, and I think like that's number one mitigation against flooding. And so if you're losing your wetlands, you're gonna lose your water storage and your ability to absorb that excess inundation. And so to me, any sea level rise mitigation needs to include wetland restoration. But who, takes that
That
on?
would be the city.
Or the city in partnership with BPW, because, I mean, potentially you could go after brick grants from a utility perspective of protecting your critical infrastructure.
Brick,
So,
you say brick?
yeah, it's a FEMA grant.
Are you guys?
Back up and running.
Yep, the first round actually, I think, closed today.
Today. There's another round.
Yep, and so we are planning on applying for some other things, probably in the next round. We just weren't ready for this one because this one came along quick.
It did.
So-
Yeah.
So
Jed,
this is-
Jed has been attending
Yes.
those meetings.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Track that.
Okay.
Yeah, Brett.
So
Yeah.
they're on top.
Yeah.
For these reasons, is this what they're?
But I don't know that the IRC or the city has taken on like wetlands as a priority yet. It's something that I'm starting to like in any opportunity I have, I'm starting to mention it because I feel like I drive Pilot Town Road every day and I'm seeing like more erosion and stuff. Some of that could be boat weight, but I really believe, sea level rise too. And so, that's the thing, like, gosh, it would really just be terrible to lose some of that capacity that you need, right, to absorb that excess inundation.
Do you see a lot of that happening?
Yeah, and I'm not a wetland expert.
Yeah.
But from my naked eye, I'm like, yeah, I see more, and I've been here 12 years. I definitely see a difference. And we could bring in wetland specialists to kind of provide a little more advice. But yeah, I do. I see it. I see it over by, the bridge over Savannah, like that way, and then I see it along the banks of the canal on the Lewis Beach side.
It's kind of off topic, but it isn't. We will be at some point, or somebody's going to be tearing down the old wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah.
That could be expanded into
Yes.
wetlands.
My gosh, that would be tremendous. I think that would be from just
It's right
purely
there.
from a hazard mitigation, climate resilience perspective, that would make a lot of sense.
I suspect at some point some of that was filled in anyway.
Yeah, right.
Great.
It wants to flood, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So let Mother Nature have it.
Yes. Yeah, we're working with them to build a new treatment plant with the county. And this topic of what we're going to do with the existing plant comes up, and we're saying, well, we're not there yet, and we're kind of pushing it down the road. It's our property, but all of our property, the city has its name on too.
Yeah.
So you'd have to work with the city, but I think that would be, if you could maybe push that, if you think that's a good idea, I think we could be pushing it.
Yeah, I'll
But
definitely
we
be
make this-
suggesting it because I know that there would probably be development interest in that site, but I mean, to put anything like
Yeah.
houses there would be
No,
a terrible idea.
Either the city or the BPW would be good with that, but they may have playground or something like that that could use, but.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not the worst, but I think if you can actually convert it to wetlands, that would be the
I'll
best.
keep that in your.
Yeah, no, I'll mention that.
Push that, 'cause
Yeah,
that's a nice piece of property and
Yeah.
it does flood easily.
yeah.
And it's been flooded several times.
Would you point that out on the map for me, where the current one is, where that will be decommissioned at some point?
It's looking upside down. It's so
Is
weird.
that in there? Okay.
There's Savannah River with a red line going down it, then. It comes over that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I see how low, it's just surrounded.
Yeah, we
When
had.
you say creating a wetland at that location, are you talking about something that just allows for flooding and then drains? Or are you removing sufficient earth to make it wet all the time, like the rest of that wetland there?
Well, I mean, wetlands are by nature not necessarily wet all the time, right?
Just these wetlands are here,
Well, should they
and
be?
I didn't know if that's what,
Um,
if that's what you.
but you're planting grasses. I don't know as far as the grading of it, whether, the restoration specialist would say it needs fill or not in order, I don't know offhand, but, you're converting it to wetland vegetation. And then the idea being that at least at high tides, it's getting wet.
Well, that map you're looking at is, I think it's a map that shows 2 foot rise.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's right now, that's shown.
Yeah. Cause this is normally you can see, grass and wetlands
Yeah.
here. And it's
Right,
not wet
right.
all the time. This is not wet all the time.
But it's wet most of the time, except here to you. It's usually wet until we get down to this and that shop. That's on that
Yeah,
corner.
I've seen it come over the road
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, then it starts coming over back here again.
yeah. So the rest of it's usually wet. And
Before
we
the
had,
daily
when we
mark.
had an overflow right into the marsh.
Yeah. I mean, wetlands, they're designed to receive water and discharge water throughout the day. And there's upland portions of wetlands and the lowland portions. Again, I'm not a wetland specialist, but I'd have to leave it to somebody who knows that to design something like that. But you can create a whole comprehensive project where you're adding acreage and then you're restoring, maybe through Phragmites, because you do have wildfire risk through the Phragmites. And so, you could look at a very comprehensive kind of approach.
Well, that's again, it's 5 years or at least off, and probably 7 or 6 weeks. But it would be a good idea because at some point people are going to start throwing ideas out.
I mean, this
We
is
should keep that.
infrastructure. That's
Yeah.
what I would say is wetlands are a form of infrastructure. Mother Nature gave it to us for free, but they do provide a big service. They actually provide a lot of different services. And so you want to just maintain them as much as possible. And everyone's experiencing, some loss.
Yeah.
But the more that we can hold on to them, I think the better for this community.
It's an interesting way to look at it. I mean, we're talking about our assets as these anthropogenically designed things, and here is this natural phenomenon that is part of it's an ecosystem service. It's also an asset. So
Yeah,
I think a little bit more holistically.
and it's free, and then when we lose them, we have to come up with very expensive engineering solutions.
Engineers are expensive, other than that.
Derogatory is,
But I'm surprised you didn't know more about this drainage thing here.
I knew that there's the berm
You should probably have input into that too, because
Brent. Well, I talked to Brent, but the berm there was a breach of the berm. That's what led to the project. If he's rebuilding the berm, that makes a lot of sense. That's what.
well, where is the berm? I mean, there's,
It was in here somewhere. I
well,
thought.
I mean,
I thought.
the are down here, that's the dredge spoils.
Yeah, that's the George spoils.
Spoils
I didn't
here.
think it was over there though. I thought it was more this way.
And I haven't walked this whole thing. I live right there. I haven't walked the whole thing, but I never saw a berm. And you see the berm it used to be dredge spoils here too.
Mhm.
And so there's a berm to keep for that basin to create those basins. But I haven't seen a man-made berm for drainage. It's maybe there, but I'm not. And I haven't seen enough of Jet's work.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while.
I know I believe it's part of that Tide Gate project.
Yeah.
And that was one of the projects that the city was submitting for brick. They were considering.
Yeah.
I think they talked, so we submitted like our cameos. DEMA came back and I'm pretty sure they said that was a low approval one. So I don't know if they're moving forward with that or not. But again, that was on the city side.
I was, when I first got on to the ERC,
Mhm.
that's the city's environmental,
Economic Environment Resiliency Committee.
that's their mitigation committee,
Okay.
EERC. So we're talking about ERC. When I first got on there, I mentioned it when Jeff brought it up. And I was going to bring it back to the DPW for a meeting, and Khalil said, no, it's premature, don't bring it up now, because Jed had mentioned the DPW
Mhm.
helping to manage it. And I said, well, we haven't heard anything about it other than rumors. And so they pulled that.
Yeah.
I think they're still working on it. So it's still floating around out there, but I don't know if that's top priority because DEMA said that they did not think it was likely to get approved. I think they changed a lot of the rules for brick funding this go around, so it's a little bit harder to get the brick funding.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on my brick funding from that 423. I was told I was getting $1
Yeah.
million to do a cost benefit study of a statewide building code.
Okay.
Because we don't have that, so you have some communities that are still
Yeah.
operating under older codes. And then we were told we were getting it, we never got the money in hand before everything shut down. And then now they're saying it's back, but they've only said it's back as far as FY24. And so it's like, well, wait a minute, there was one other year.
Yeah. And they really moved away from studies this go around because that's really what we were looking
Yeah.
to do to start, and they really are not looking to fund studies. They want
Yep.
shovel ready projects. Yeah.
The next thing, we prepared spreadsheets, and you have a spreadsheet. You honed in on pump stations, but
Do you have a PDF of this? Are you sharing or no?
Yeah.
no, this shows you various flood zones, so forth. Now, this identified all the assets we have other than chance farms throughout our. So these are all located, they've all been surveyed, their elevations have been known. That's what this document has, all the information of all those pumping stations and other entities that we needed to look for.
That's a lot of them. I didn't realize it
Perhaps
was many.
so are these good pumping stations to
So-
remove?
Wastewater to the
Okay,
treatment
thank you.
plant, yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
It's not groundwater pumping, it's wastewater, okay.
no. Yeah, good point, because it could have been. Yeah, these are mostly pumping stations.
And the wells are the groundwater wells over here?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, that's the
Yeah.
drinking water field there.
And we
Okay.
have our electric.
Yeah, so
station.
we're looking at your power, infrastructure too, then.
Just the metering station and the main substation
Yeah,
Okay,
on Slate.
nothing else that
No.
would be involved? Okay.
so we have all that information, and
Chris,
yes,
when it says the bottom of the cabinet, is there an elevation that's related to that, to the top of the manhole that would leak, I mean, if it were flooded?
this is basically for the control panels.
Okay.
Many,
Not the actual flood input point.
no,
No.
Okay.
we have those elevations, but this is, for the things that could be damaged by flooding. Most of the pumping stations are submersible pumps,
Right.
and with the controls stand above
I'm just
them.
wondering, are they sealed pump stations? So, I mean, if water came up and over the lid, would it not leak into the pump
It's
station.
gonna leak in there.
It is gonna leak in.
Yeah.
So there's an elevation below the cabinet that's important to us also
Well,
in that
like-
regard.
like the, if you go up Cedar, we have a couple pumping stations on the side road off of Cedar that pump the flow from the, that side of town. They just have, diamond plate
Right,
covers over them
right,
that aren't really waterproof.
right.
Mhm.
And when it floods, they get down into that pumping station.
Yeah.
And we're pumping to the treatment plant.
I'm just wondering, do you think that's an important
Yeah,
elevation to include in our thinking there? Because it's either that or they all get sealed with
well,
new.
we know the elevations because we know where the pumping station is. We know what the ground level
The
is.
grade is at that, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
We had DMV do a resiliency study on the critical pump stations in the flood zone. So we have, how many of them? 16 of them. I mean, it's a hefty, and it calls out every elevation you ever want to learn about.
Yeah. All right,
There,
it's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
there it is.
Yeah,
That's everything you ever want to
That'll
know
put you to
about
sleep
the
at night.
station, what we should be doing, pictures of it, scales.
oh, okay,
You know,
oh, good,
um, we have projected pumping station designs that could be above water. We're actually putting in our first pumping station that follows this. Raising the one on
Hornkill.
Hornkill
Yeah,
Avenue.
we're taking the
Okay.
existing one out.
So we have,
Relocating
we have
because
all
we're
this
adding
data.
11 homes for what, for water, so we're.
is there estimates of costs and renovations?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I'll show you some pictures of some of the concepts that they were thinking about doing for these pumping stations. Your floating.
Oh, my
pumping
floating
station,
pump station.
He came up with a floating pumping station control panel. He works outside the box most of the time.
It's not funny.
The beach is gonna be there anyway, just ain't flooding, because they're gonna be underwater.
Was it in this document too?
No, I don't think it was in that. I don't think the pictures were in it.
You have an older one. Mine has them in the back.
Excuse me?
My version has them in the back, but we can look at that later. They fold out.
This one?
Oh, that might.
Yeah, this is the final one. I won't spend a lot of time on this.
Yep.
This is the one. We actually proposed pumping station designs. These are for equipment above grade.
I think you got a couple more on the back of
The backside of those pages,
Yeah.
flip the top pages.
And I think there's a couple more in your big stack there in the back. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. Some were designed like lighthouses.
Yeah.
Some were
wow.
in the shape of a buoy. In the end, we went with a
Hang
fence.
right for the next meeting. So I should have had that for the, really interesting.
I have a question about this table.
Yeah.
So you've got the flood zone, you've got future elevation in year. So is this, when you say future elevation, is that based on a sea level rise projection
That's
It's off the-
that formula.
of this?
And
Okay,
that's- and
yeah,
that's-
it's different years though.
Yes, the years, depending on what flood zone they're in,
Okay,
like the first group, we're saying it should be updated by 2030. And then I think it's
Oh.
88, it's 20,
so you did a prioritization then?
yes.
87,
And that's what
88,
the year
and
recommended.
then they went by the years.
Okay,
So those numbers show the year that we
Okay, gotcha.
Want those pumping stations
That's your higher priority, yeah.
high priority.
Okay.
But the board just
Yes.
recently had to kind of adjust that because when we got the resiliency study back,
Uh-huh.
we found some of the pump stations that maybe were in AE8 needed to be repaired faster
Mm-hmm.
than just by using a year.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a balance.
sure.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
I get you.
This was just the basic to start off to give us an idea to say, okay,
Yeah.
this is something to go by. And then when we started looking at the pump stations, got the report back, it was like, wait a minute. We might have pump station 6.
Yeah,
That might be an AE8, but that was critical because of what needed to be done to the station.
yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Makes sense.
So we did a lot of work on that. And one of the things that I want to bring up in this committee, I mentioned it a couple of times already, the things we had now with transformers. Like I have one in front of my house, and I'm in the floods, and my front yard is 4.2 elevation.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do about them? And we're having a devil of a time coming up with it.
Transformers.
Yeah. Tom Panetta, our president, he's an electrical guy, he's an electrical engineer. He's working with EMAC on identifying what we can do to them. What do you do with the transformer?
Has he had any suggestions or alternatives?
Not yet. The only thing I can think of is like I have the pad metal transformer. That's actually been raised 2 feet already. Where that is, put a pole. Put it up there. If people aren't going to like it, but what else do you do with it? And I don't think you can find a submersible transformer that I'm
No.
aware
Yeah,
of.
I don't know.
So that's going to be a big question.
Yeah, because you could have a flood wall around it, but you'd also have a water table rising below you.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, we're going to search, they must be doing things in Florida and places like that. So that's one of the reasons we didn't finish the last committee, because we really couldn't get a satisfying answer. So that's what we're looking for, but that's a big question. So, at some point, I was interested in getting all the down transformers surveyed.
Yeah, that's something we're working on trying
But
to.
that's not on your list.
Not yet. That's something that's going to come out of this committee.
It will.
Recommendation. Hopefully we get that is a recommendation to get them started.
I recommend floating transformers.
He's great with that.
We'll just need to put them on hoverboards.
Drone operated, they just keep there.
Because that was the big thing too about the pump stations. Okay, you raise all the control panels up well. Certain locations, we've got a couple right there on California, Cedar. Somebody's going to see that big
Yeah.
Yeah.
pump or whatever you want to put it in, even if it's a lighthouse. It's
Right.
somebody's going to see it on their first floor deck when they look. There's going to be
That's right.
Yeah.
because you figure that's where the height of it's going to be.
Yeah, like if you get out Cedar, is it on not Washington? It's one of the streets where we have a submersible pumping station in the road itself with the steel covers on it.
Right.
The control panel sits up about this high above ground now, and that's not even raised to the new elevations. But raising something 15 feet in the air on your front yard is going to be welcomed.
Well, we'll just go there with that air mailbox. That's
That's on my corner.
I thought it was down further.
Yeah, I think the aesthetics are important in all of this. And
Well, I'll bring
whatever.
these sketches that came up because it's they're interesting.
Russ, it is
It-
10 o'clock, so I just,
Already there. So two last, and then we'll be quick. The last committee recommended, I'm sure we were up to date on our wastewater treatment plan, emergency response plans, and the city's emergency response plans. So we'll talk about that. Not that we do anything with the city, but to make sure that
we are a part of the city's response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they don't have on earth. And then it also recommended that we develop a list of programs and policies to encourage public acceptance and implementation of green technologies. So I think we've been doing that all along, but we can take a look at that and refresh that.
Yep.
So, I really do want to keep it an hour, so unless anybody has anything, we'll pick it up there and start talking about some of the issues that we've already begun talking about. As I said, I'm looking at getting through these issues. You know, it'll probably be the third meeting that you're going to be available for
For the flood, the back bay.
that base issue.
Yeah, do we have dates for these meetings yet?
No, that was my next thing.
Okay,
Tracy, you and I originally suggested that we have it right before the ERC meeting, because we meet on Wednesday, the second
Second Wednesday of each month.
at 3:00.
So we know we're not out golfing or fishing at night.
Right. But it would be convenient for us, at least, not everybody else, maybe, but to meet maybe 1:00 before that meeting on the second Tuesday of every month at 1:00. If not, if we will.
I think it's Wednesday, but yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Just try to be in town that day at least.
Do you want to look at August since we're towards the end of June now?
You probably should.
Okay.
Good point.
so
So August 12th?
sure.
Wednesday?
Yep.
Did you say Tuesday? or
You said Wednesday first and then Tuesday, so I was confused too.
Right, Wednesday.
It's Wednesday?
Yeah. You meet at 3 p.m.
Okay.
Oh, that's the next one. Yeah, that would be ideal. We can work it out that way. Okay.
Great. And we'll go that way as far as we can, so everybody's available.
August 12th, what time again?
1 o'clock.
Okay.
And then the notes for this, that would be available, I think, for us to review and then share with our respective committees that we also are on. Okay.
Yep. Typically, so we'll bring them back for that meeting. You guys would approve them and then the board has to approve them. So. But Chris will have them.
Okay.
Just want to, since I know you're asking me to provide some information at the third meeting, that
Yes.
third meeting then would be Wednesday, September 9th? Is that
Yes.
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
1?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I could, and so I'm putting in my, just to make sure I.
Chris, will you send out a calendar invite?
Yep, September 9th at 1, right?
Yep.
Yeah, great, thank you. And then, so, yeah, and I know I traded some emails with you, but, you know, you're kind of looking for any additional insights on Back Bay flooding, and I think some of that is gonna sound like today, I'm gonna talk about the wetlands and, you know, I think you all know why we get such Back Bay flooding, so I'm not sure what else I can be telling you.
No, either do I. I mean, it
Okay.
cannot, because I don't think there's much we can do as a utility here for the Back Bay. I mean,
Yeah.
you can, and that we're not doing for our own purposes. So I'm not sure what Tom is looking for there, but I think it
Okay,
was just to bring us up to speed that is a problem. This, we know about it, we'll bring it to the council, the committee,
okay,
and, just bring information
Sure.
while we have the chance.
okay, yes, and, yeah, and I'm gonna be doing a little more, looking around into the wetland issue, talk to some of my colleagues to see if we can come out with a little bit more suggestions on that, but, okay,
I'm gonna be asking you and others. And there's a list in one of the documents of that the highest flood elevations here, and there's one that is higher than the 62 storm.
snowstorm Jonas,
Yeah, now, how can that be? Because if I remember 60, I'm old enough to remember 62 storm.
Yeah.
That was the National Guard, and I was even down here.
yeah,
And that little sign on Savannah Road
Yeah.
that shows you where it's up here. Now, Jonas wasn't up that high.
well, remember, I mean,
We don't have to
yeah,
solve this right now, but
yeah,
that always,
yeah, it was, you know, it was recorded at the tide gauge.
yeah.
In the harbor. But
But remember, Jonas was over successive tides, so you had a stacking that
Well, that's what
maybe
happened.
that inundation,
The 62 storm was there.
that was what I'm saying.
Yeah, the 62, yeah.
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 That
Um,
it would ended up being more the 62 storm ended up being
Oh.
more devastating because it had it occurred over successive tide cycles and whatnot, whereas Jonas I think was a little more short lived. I don't know.
But how could it be? I mean, it's about 4 feet difference, I mean, at least.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've heard that all the time, but I
No,
remember
yeah. it's-
62 and hotels were down in
Yeah.
Boardwalk was
I
gone.
do remember.
Yeah. There's pictures of Lewis, I mean, you can't see anything on the beach side except water.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
We should really have a motion to adjourn.
Oh, that's right. I have a motion to do that. I didn't have a motion to do that.
I know.
I so moved.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
I'm
Aye.